Well, good day everybody. Today I'm going to be showing you how to build this. It is a raised bed greenhouse. And I'm building this here in the desert area where I'm at is because we can go through the summer with getting hardly any rain, but then we'll get a ton of rain in 15 minutes. And what this does to things like my tomato plants is it causes a very inconsistent watering. They get a whole bunch of water all at once and it cracks out my fruit. So some of you in Texas may be able to relate to this problem of getting too much rain at one time on your tomato plants. Also, a structure like this can help to prevent blight because then you don't have the leaves of your tomatoes getting wet and the splashing of the water on the ground, splashing the dirt all over your tomato leaves. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to show you a total of 16 2x2s and 8 2x4s. 16 2-inch by 8-inch long steel brackets, 4 L brackets, a box of 1¼ inch screws, a tape measure, a pencil, and a good square. I set my skill saw to about 35 degrees to start making the trusses. Here are the dimensions that I use for my trusses. Bear in mind that my raised bed is 51 inches wide. I held the peak together with one of the L brackets. I used some tin snips to custom make these brackets. Not only will they hold the truss together, but they'll tie the truss to the main structure. I cut out the pieces for the remaining 3 trusses. To be sure that each truss came out the same, I built each truss over the top of the original template. I then built 3 scissor trusses to go in between each of the 4 main trusses. Here are the brackets I'll use to attach the scissor trusses to the main structure. I painted each piece with a white acrylic paint to protect the timber. You can make the structure as tall or as short as you like. Here I use 2x2s screwed to 2x4s, which I then attach to the raised bed. Try to get things as level as possible. I put up the corners first since they were the most difficult. There's 4 feet between the supports. I attach the 12-foot long top plate. This will be the support for the trusses. The metal brackets on these trusses tie into the 2x2 structure. I then attach the metal brackets that will hold the scissor trusses in place. The scissor trusses give the greenhouse a spacious and open feel. This also makes it easy to get the shovel inside the raised bed greenhouse and dig around a little bit without worrying about hitting anything overhead. As you can see, I made this greenhouse very tall to make it more convenient to get into. I can dig around in here with the shovel without any problems. I already added 3 cubic feet of peat moss to this end over here where I'll be planting tomatoes. But since it's so tall, I really need to secure it to keep it from blowing over in the wind. So I've got these 3-foot stakes. I've already driven 1, 2, 3 of them in, and I will be bolting them into the side of the raised bed. I'm going to do 1, 2, 3 here on this end, and that should keep it from toppling over. This is a brace I made for the roof to hold the trusses, the top of the trusses in place. It's going to go, of course, right up here, and it's just 2x2 glued and screwed together, and I left little 2x2 gaps for where each of the trusses will go. Okay, so here's the deal just about finished. The only thing that I have yet to do is put the roof cap on, but for the most part it's done. I'll show you right down the center here. And this overhead structure will be perfect for trellising the tomatoes. You can see here in the last video, if you remember, I expressed concerns about this tomato, and it is really bounced back, really doing well. All the tomatoes in here are doing really well with the irrigation system. Now, one of the reasons I built this structure is because I want to be able to control the amount of water these tomatoes get. You may have heard a lot of people in Texas have had problems with the flooding, the severe rains that caused all sorts of tomato diseases, overwatering, cracked tomatoes, the list goes on. This overhead structure will help to prevent that. So just to give you an idea also of how I built the structure is, this is a 2x4 and a 2x2, and that's to create a nice groove or sort of frame for whenever I go to close this structure in. I will do it with panels. So this entire structure can be enclosed to create a nice warm environment so that I can start my season, you know, maybe even a month early or more, depending on what sort of heat source I add in here. So I will be adding a heat source because in my extremely short growing season, it really pays to get an early start on the tomatoes. So I have yet to get any more wood chips. I've run out of wood chips. I do need to mulch this with something. You could use leaves, you could use wood chips. So I hope you like the overhead structure. Please give it a thumbs up, share the video. This is High Desert Garden, signing off.